What is a nation without representation? What is a nation without representation? I'm the 5%, not a 10% of nation. All praise due to Allah, and that's a blessing. All praise due to Allah, and that's a blessing. All righteous, all praise due to Allah, and that's a Peace, 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 one and all. What's good? What's going on, everybody? I be the God, DJ KY Allah, aka Kato the Black Superhero. I'd like to welcome you to another rendition of the Real 360 show. With me and my grandstand homie from the motherland, my brother in God, my co-host, Mr. Joshua Mel Allah, Mr. PhD himself. So sit back, relax, get ready to listen to another powerful insight and message coming through. So at this time, I'm gonna turn it over to my co-host, Joshua Mel. Peace, God. It's your floor.
Peace, 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 peace. Good evening. You know what I'm saying? Welcome, all our followers, all our listeners. You know what I'm saying? Peace to all the gods and earths. Peace to all the kings and queens. We just want to introduce today peaceful existence. This
Hello.
woman, this woman is more than just any person in my life. This is like my sister. Even though we're first cousins, we're like sisters and brothers. And we've discussed many topics over the years, and we dealt with a lot of different things as far as depression, anxiety, and being there for one another. So today we're going to discuss some of my experiences and battles with depression and anxieties. Um, KY's experience with depression and anxieties, this pandemic, and hopefully, get an opportunity. Uh, Peaceful Existence will chime in with some of hers or how she even helped me through some of mine. Also, today's show is actually dedicated to our mothers. KY's mom, my mother, Teal Young Mays, Peaceful Existence mother, Verna Young Hoskins. Um, Me and Peaceful Existence mother has returned to the essence over 14, 15 years ago. And it has left impact on both our lives on a daily existence that we struggle with consistently. So even though, we have other siblings, we always gravitate to each other because she was always like my big sister. So right now, I'm introducing you to Peaceful Existence, my sister, my loved one, a woman who means so much to me. Peaceful Existence, just say your name and speak a little bit about yourself.
Hello, everybody. Thank you so much for that. That was very, very nice of you to say. Um, I have been struggling with depression and anxiety since 2006, since my mom passed, and it has been a battle. It has really been an uphill, downhill battle. So I asked to join this podcast. I'm sorry, I asked to join this today so that maybe I can reach other people and help them, give them information on what helped me, which is being around other people that go through the same things. You know what I'm trying to say? So I'm here to sit back and listen, and also to chime in and to maybe give out some advice that maybe help someone else.
That's great. You know, me starting out with my depression and anxiety comes from as a youth, as a child, you know, growing up in a household where abuse was prevalent and watching my mom be physically abused, I became physically abused in the process. And it's not a good feeling when you're scared and you don't know how to react. And that's not fair for a child, that's not fair for a parent, that's not fair for anyone. So I went through a depression and had anxiety to the point where everything was like my my self. You know what I'm saying? My mechanism uh, to protect myself was always something physical, because everyone has that fight or flight with them. So with me, I never felt like I could run. Like, and and in my mind, I run the hoop. There was never anybody there for me to run to for help, or run to say, well, this is what's going on, because back then, whatever was going on in the home stayed in the home. So we didn't have people that we could discuss what we actually were going through. And a lot of people knew what was going on, but chose to ignore it. And that left a major scar for me. And over the years growing up, the ones who showed me love or gave me love, those are the ones I gave my loyalty to, because I entrusted a secret that was going on with me to them, because they was witnesses to it. It's not like I went and I said something to them. They actually would witness certain things. Um, like my my best friend, family, born professor. We grew up, went to Harry Daniels together and everything. And to this day, we still brothers. We go through, but we're still brothers, because he saw or he witnessed how we was living. And it was so bad for me at one point where I had no fear of anything. And when you get to the point where you just want to die, but you're sick and tired of living in a certain situation. But I didn't have the courage or the thought to do something to myself to end it. I just always felt like if I'm in a situation where it's volatile, then they might do me the favor. And that's the reality of depression, the reality of anxiety is when you're nervous in a situation. You're nervous in a situation and you want to run, you want to go hide, you know what I'm saying? You feel ashamed of who you are. And in my life, it showed I wasn't able to really sustain a lot of relationships, whether it was friendships, dating women, whatever the case may be. I was never able to sustain a relationship because I always felt like somebody was out to get me, or somebody was trying to hurt me. The only thing that kept me balanced was my children, because I never wanted my children to experience what I experienced. I never wanted them to feel the way that I felt coming up, even up until maybe a few years ago, whereas I really had to sit down and take self-evaluation and think about who and what I am, and accept me not just on the surface, but deep down. So when I think about my depression, um, losing my mom really put me in a situation where I felt like I didn't have nobody else. I didn't have anyone, you know what I mean? And you can count on one hand individuals you feel who actually care about your own, that actually care about you. It's not always a good feeling. Or it's not a good feeling that you can be in a room full of people and feel alone. Or you can be in a room full of people and you feel like everybody in the room is out to get you or trying to hurt you or will try to hurt you. That's not a good feeling. We've been through, rather, I've been through so much as a child. Uh, you know what I'm saying? Like I said, the domestic violence, the child abuse, uh, teen parenting, it's just was so much. So what honestly saved me or gave me an opportunity to divert a lot of energy was going and becoming a 5%, because I indulged into my lessons. I indulged into, you know what I'm saying, the teachings of Allah. I indulged in that. I indulged in community activism. I indulged in so much, whereas at some point I was able to not have to deal with what was actually going on around me. And that within itself kind of saved me a lot of time. Even though I made some bad decisions in the process of battling myself or having this internal battle and would think too quick or react to situations that I didn't need to react to. And that, you know, played a big major role in everything that was going on with me. So I just think about at this point in my life, all the things I've been through. When you've been shot, you've been stabbed and or incarcerated at a young age, you go, what is this life about? What is this life about? And I think about what my mother said to me. I think about what my aunt would say to me. Think about what my grandmother said to me about walking around with your head down. You know what I'm saying? About being a proud black man, um, being someone who have impacted other people's lives because I never knew the role that I played with other people, whether I did it directly or indirectly until someone came and said something to me a couple of years ago. And it was meaningful to me. It felt good, but in a way, I couldn't see it because I was battling my own self. I was battling, and I used to self medicate. By self medicating, I would drown in alcohol, whether it was beer, whether it was um, Hennessy, whatever the case may be. I would drown my pain in the alcohol, and it would numb me for a while. But after then, it still was there. It still was there. Still was there. So the pain became so normal that I was able to live with it. But it's like I was a functioning depression addict. Whereas I
Mm.
would go through life, I would smile, you know what I mean, whatever the case may be. And in the middle, I'm dying inside. I'm dying inside. I never thought that I would get to the point where I am today in my life, like in the position that I am. And I've been in this position before, for as financially and everything else, but I never felt like I was going to get to the point where I'm at peace with myself. I've accepted who I am. It's easy for us to sit up there and be like, well, I'm Josh Amel, I'm this, that, and the third, woo, woo, woo. But when it comes down to honestly accepting yourself, it's something totally different because I've always been this type of person. I give you my loyalty. I do anything for you. I go to war for you. You know what I mean? I would sacrifice myself for you. And the very minute that you are disloyal to me, there's no coming back. There was no coming back. And I don't just have an issue with you. I got an issue with everybody related to me. And I'm going to come to you with it. Like I've never been the type of person that sugarcoat it. If I love you, I love you. If I don't, I don't. Because my trust I put in individuals means more to me than money. My loyalty to you means more to me than money because I never really had that. And outside of like a few family members like Peaceful Existence, um, her sister Ronnie, you know, and Jay and Ronald, you know what I mean, and a couple of more of my cousins, I never really had family. You know, I never really had family outside, saying Earl, Audrey, my sister Cookie. And he was never really had family that I could sit up there and say, these individuals love me outside of the ones I just named. Okay. It's just always been the 5%ers. The 5%ers has been my family ever since I can remember. Those are the ones who gave me the love. Those are the ones who was always there for me, right, wrong, or different. Whether I'm right, they with me. Whether I'm wrong, they with me. You know what I mean? Whatever the case may be, that was my family. And to this very day, it's the same way. I don't deal with a whole lot of people. You know what I mean? I don't deal with a whole lot of people. My circle is small because of my anxieties, my trust issues, and that's just how it is for me. So when I'm going through things, I call my cousin. I call her and I'm like, "Girl, what's going on?" Or we text or whatever you. And I'm like, "Yo, I'm going through X, Y, and Z." She always give me something. You know what I'm saying? Or even like when me and you build sometimes, Kate, we go through certain scenarios, with the fam, and we go through it together, and we push each other through. So I think
Right.
that that's something that we all need. We all need someone that we can call when we're going through. You know what I mean? Or someone we can sit down and have that bill with and be like,
Yes.
because everybody can't afford therapists. You know what I'm saying? Everybody can't afford a therapist. Um, so we need someone that will be non-biased, who's going to be straight up, who's going to be a good listening ear. You know what I'm saying? An active listener during the topic that you're on. I mean, someone who's not going to judge you, someone who's going to actually say, you know what, it's going to be all right because I'm going to walk this mile with you. You know what I
Exactly.
mean? We need
Exactly.
that.
Exactly.
Exactly. I want to piggyback on something
So
that you
one
said.
thing you
I'm sorry. Okay, I wanted to piggyback on what he said when he said there's a lot of people he walks around like like you depressed, you smiling, but nobody really knows what's going on the inside. I know exactly what you feel because you can be around a whole bunch of people. You could be at a gathering, a part or whatever, and you're laughing, you're joking, you're having fun, but on the inside, you are dying. I understand exactly that because you go home and you get right back into those four corners and you sit there. And another thing, like what you said, you need those people that you can call when you're in that instant where you're to the point where it's like the anxiety starts kicking up. And if you suffer through anxiety or depression, all it takes is just a second for your mind to be free and boom, there it is. You get a thought, you get something that comes in your mind. So I have that circle too, and I'm so glad that I do. But a lot of people don't have that circle or that trust circle. You have people out here that'll listen to your stuff, but carry it somewhere else instead of trying to help you. They're talking about you.
Hmm.
You need that solid foundation where and sometimes it takes a while for you to get that because there are a lot of wolves in sheep clothing out here. So you just have to be careful about who you tell your stuff to because some can hinder, some can help. But I know exactly what you're talking to. I was gonna, I wanted you to finish saying what you had to say, but I know exactly what you're talking about. You go to work, you functioning, you're functional depression, just walking around, not knowing what to do, not knowing what to say. And this is scary. It is definitely scary.
Definitely. It's so crazy because when it depends on what is said to me that can trigger me, you
Hmm.
know. And it's crazy because a lot of times I'm real silly. I'm real silly,
Yes.
laugh and joke and, go back and forth. I don't mind cracking jokes all day long, but sometimes things will trigger it. And I can go from smiling to be pissed off to the next level. And it's like,
Yes.
that's dangerous for me. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? That's dangerous for me. And I always say, well, let me remove myself. Let me remove myself. Even when I'm home, a lot of times I'm in a room by myself, gathering my thoughts. You know what I'm saying? A lot of self evaluation. And during that period in time, there's things that are going on in my mind and I'm fighting against them. I'm fighting
Hmm.
against them. And
Yes.
it's like I can see that little boy, you know what I'm saying, that wants to come home and wants to protect, you know what I'm saying, his mother and wants to be, quote unquote, this good kid, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But when you're in certain situations, sometimes it's hard because you have to take care of things that you don't want to, you
Yeah.
know. Being the fact, like, me and my mom was homeless at one time growing up. Right? Growing up, we was homeless. We was living in a garage right in Roosevelt on Beechwood, right there by Roosevelt Park. And we slept in the same bed. We would go to bed with our clothes on. Couldn't really play with other kids because the clothes that I had on, I was tall enough and big enough where my mom and stuff would wear my clothes. You know what I'm saying? So I couldn't get my clothes here because she had to wear them to work. Then I would, she would get up,
Ooh,
walk us to
wow.
school, walk us to Earl House and drop us off at Earl House. And I would go on to Theodore Roosevelt, walk to Theodore Roosevelt. My mother would walk from Roosevelt Park, Beechwood, to East Fulton Stevens Street, walk from there to Commercial Avenue in Freeport by the train station. And if you know anything about Long Island, whatever the case may be, Freeport and Roosevelt, even though they're right there together, that's a heck of a walk coming from the middle of Roosevelt to the Long Island Railroad. And she would do this every morning because we couldn't afford for her to get on the bus. And I used to sit and I used to watch how she would put cardboard stuff in her shoes because of the snow and her foot would get wet from walking. So you, as a child, you're watching these things and you're like, you can't sit by and do nothing. Or people always talk about how they see it on TV, whereas your parent would send you somewhere so you can have a meal and they wouldn't eat. Or, you know what I'm saying, the lights is out and you have to steal electricity. We didn't steal electricity, but the lights would be cut off on a mini day. You know what I'm saying? The door didn't always stay closed. If the wind blew hard enough when we finally got a place, it would fly open. And if we didn't have the dog that we had, which was Prince at the time, he would sit dead in the door. People would just, you know what I'm saying, would be able to just walk in on us. Um, at that point, you know, I turned to the street, and it was because of an experience where I wanted to play basketball and made the team, but couldn't afford to buy the sneakers. And my mother sat there and she asked people money just to buy my sneakers because she was trying her best to keep me away from the streets. And it was like nobody was willing to help her. Nobody was willing to help her. And that bothered me. So I just said, you know what? We're not asking nobody else for anything. I'm going out here and I'm going to get it. So I would, in the morning, I'm going to school. I'm going to do everything I got to do in school. I'm on, I'm on the football team. I'm gonna do everything I got to do. Stay, you know what I'm saying, stay on the football team, stay active. And then when everything is over, I'm going to the streets. So at 10, 11 years old, I'm living two different lives, two different kind of lifestyles because
Wow.
trying to balance. And that is a mental thing because you're not trying to let your schoolwork and you know what I'm saying, your athletic ability go to waste. And you're thinking that if I can play ball, get a scholarship, I can get my mother out this situation. I
Mm.
can get my family out this situation. And then in the next breath, I have to do something right now because there's no food in the house. There's no lights on in the house. Because if my mother paid the rent, she couldn't pay the light bill. She paid the light bill, she was short on the rent.
See, ooh, that's something a child should never have to worry about. Looking at your mom or your dad or whoever, looking at your parent struggle like that. And even though it's sad in this society right now, but it's a lot of that going on. And at the age of 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and on. You shouldn't be watching that. That's something that's crazy to me. That's something that's really crazy to me, that children have to grow up so fast. They have to grow up and make decisions that they shouldn't have to make at 10. They shouldn't have to make at 9, and that's this society right now. It's not only just us. And when you said how you're silly, you're very funny. We can always depend on you for a laugh. But if you actually really look and see, most comedians have been through something in their life.
Oh yeah.
And that's why you see that happy face and that sad face
Hmm.
in there. I even look at myself. A lot of people tell me, girl, you should be on TV. You need your own show. But they don't know what's going on the inside. That's saying you have to laugh to keep from crying.
Right.
I need a t-shirt, a hat, some socks, shoes. I need it all to say that, because I promise you that is exactly how it is. We laugh to keep from crying. And people think, oh, you're so funny, but they have no idea what's going on the inside. Most comedians have look back into their life. They have been through something, childhood abuse, molestation, rape, whatever. They've been through it, and that's the reason why I think so, because you have to laugh. You have to find laughter in something. And at that age of 10 years old, no child should ever have to watch their parents be abused, starving, putting wood in their shoes or cardboard in their shoes. That's crazy, because that does something to that child's mind, because now they're in protective mode.
It's
Right.
crazy because um, we was struggling, and my mother was different. We were struggling. We didn't have anything, and we would be on the free cheese line, or and the free commodity
Give me one
line. Get the
more.
peanut butter and all that crap. And whatever she would get her hands on, she would split it and send it down south to Mississippi. In my mind, I'm like, they're good. They're good. We're struggling. But I never understood that. I never understood that.
That's how your
And
mother was. That's how my auntie was. My auntie was going to make sure that even though it was you and her struggling, it was so many of them. It was, how many of them was it? 12. You
yeah,
already know they come from a family of, if I have, you're going to have, when they were growing up. Because that's all they had when they were growing up. So in her mind, that's the same way she thought. Of course, you wouldn't see that part because you're a kid and you're hungry, or what have you, and you're like, why are you giving this to somebody else that's okay? But that's how they were raised. You're
hmm
gonna help regardless. Most people not. Most families don't go through that. It's like self. I have
hmm
this, and I see my brother or sister sleeping on the street or something, and I'm not gonna help when I don't have any room. The floor is always, or my bed, or what have you. But your mom thought just like that. I have this, I have to send it to my brothers and sisters. That's how she thought. And of course you couldn't see it at the time because you were going through what you were going through, but that's how they were. That's
yeah,
how they were. They were going to divide and share regardless.
yeah, and that used to blow me. That used to blow me. Like word is bond, that used to blow me, and it used to be so funny. Like when back in the days when we became 5%ers, a lot of people got kicked out their house or whatever the case may be. So you had to go to other brothers, what I'm saying, cribs to stay. Everybody wasn't accepting their child becoming 5%ers at the time. And it used to be funny to me, like they say, yo, God, what I'm saying, my mom's and them cooking pork, blah, blah, blah. I didn't worry about that in my house because we couldn't afford pork. You know what I'm saying? That's how you you is poor when you can't afford pork. You know what I'm saying? Pork is the cheapest thing in the supermarket. You know what I'm saying? They used to put the pork section by the no frill section. You know what I'm saying? Because it was it was the cheapest thing. So, but never had to worry about eating swine in that. You know what I mean? Because it wasn't there. We didn't have it. You know what I'm saying? So it was interesting to me, and I listened to like a lot of my cousins, my younger siblings, cousins, and they'd be like, "Man, I remember your mother used to send us this. Your mother used to send us that." And in my head, I want to say something, you know what I'm saying? But it's like, okay, she was paying forward. You know what I'm saying? I get that. I get that. And not realizing in my mind, it put me in a situation where I had to hustle. I had to. Some days I would go to school and I would double back to try to catch the landlord, pay him, or when the light bill comes, catch it and run to the check cashing place. You know what I'm saying? And pay the light bill or pay the water bill or call the oil truck man and have him come put 100 gallons of oil in the house so we can have heat. It was different things. And my mom used to be confused. I don't know if she knew or whatever the case may be, because she would always ask how this got paid, how this got paid. And Earl and Audrey, they lived around the corner. That's our other family members. They lived around the corner. And I'll be like, yo, Earl gave me the money. You know what I'm saying? To go pay this or do whatever, whatever. And she would just chalk it up. Okay, Earl gave it to you. Never really thinking my son is out here selling drugs. You know what I'm saying? And I never sold drugs to be flashy. That wasn't my thing. I sold drugs to take care of my family. And then at 14, I had my baby girl. So it's like, I'm not going to allow her to suffer. So now I got to sell even more drugs. You know what I'm saying? So it's these are the internal battles that I went through, and to deal with on a consistent basis, it caused the depression, it caused the anxieties to grow even more, because in my mind I was constantly running because of the things that I was actually going through. I was fighting, I was fighting against it. Like, I didn't want to do certain things, but I had to do. I felt like I had to. You know what I'm saying? And that's something that was major for me through my whole life. And now it's like I don't I don't have to be bothered anymore. I'm more so at peace every day when I wake up, more than I've ever been in my life. You know what I'm saying? And it's not because of saying I speak to people about it. I'm not ashamed anymore. That's really what it is. I'm not ashamed anymore. I used to be ashamed of feeling how I'm feeling. I used to be ashamed of being an abused child. I used to be ashamed of saying when I was 16 years old, I went away. And I didn't go to juvie. I went away where the big boys play. You know what I'm saying? I sat there, Nassau County, Elmira. I sat there and I used to be ashamed. But I'm not ashamed anymore because I grew as an individual. I grew as a person. And I understand that now everybody goes through something. Everybody deals with something. It's how you respond to it, you know what I'm saying, that really defines you as an individual. It's not about, being popular. It's not about being none of that, because those who are popular, they throw light on things so you can see the good part. But when that light goes away and you see all the iniquities, you see all the four devils and everything else running rampant, you know what I'm saying? I don't have an issue showing you who I am, being transparent. That's why today's show is about depression, anxieties, and me being transparent, opening the door for individuals to see me for me. Because growing up, you know how it is, Kay. You meet people, they mess with you because you K Wise, right? Your name. Or they mess with me because I'm Joshua Mel, my name. But do they really mess with you? Do they really know who K Wise is? Do they know who the man is? You know what I'm saying? Not just the name, the man. Do they accept the man? That's the way I've dealt with things my whole life. Like, you know the name, but do you understand the man? You know what I'm saying?
You know,
And
it goes back to what you said though. I want to take you back to the earlier stage of what you said. At the point in the time when you realize the changes within yourself, and you said you did some things then, and what you know now. What you know now then to where you are now. If you was to look back at yourself then, you always try to say, what advice would I tell myself now, back then, if I can go back in time and catch myself at that point in time where I was about to do something so drastic that I
Mm.
could have stopped myself then and give it a better advice. But you know what? I also look at it like this. If I was able to do that, then I wouldn't exist in where I am right now, because saying something to me then to make that change changes who I am now in the present.
Mm.
mhm,
You understand what I'm saying? Because the reality is our lives, the paths that we chose, and some of the paths that we may have been forced in a certain way is what developed us to become the people or the person we are now.
mhm,
We wouldn't understand what good can come from if we didn't know what hurt is.
Right.
mhm,
And vice versa. We would know good if we didn't get hurt to find the goodness of it all, or have someone show us that in the midst of our struggles there are many good things to come
Yeah.
or to recognize and to see. Okay,
Yes.
my father, like I said, my struggle. I grew up. I was a P. I'm still, might as well say, I still am a PK kid. My father was a Baptist minister. He was shot and killed in his own church in Brooklyn, in the Bedford-Stuyvesant area where we grew up with. All right, that case is still a cold case to this day. You know, that thing has bothered me for the longest of my life, and still does, in ways that I can't describe to everybody. But what I can say is my go-to people is my number one, my baby sister. You know what I mean? My queen shorty. If it wasn't for her, and for her and I to communicate and be as close as we are, even though we're so many years apart, because I was the youngest baby at the time, and then she comes in '76. She's a bicentennial baby. So there's a lot of gap in that timeline that I experienced, that I was like, wow, you know, um, things that I saw and seen. There was a lot of struggle. There was a lot of struggle. And I'm gonna tell you, when you talk about being kicked out and because you're becoming a 5% and stuff like that, the hardest thing for me was when I was studying my lesson was hiding it from my parents, man.
right.
You understand what I'm saying? You come in a house where everything is God, this, you gotta say your prayers and this. I knew the Bible back and forth by the time I was age 11, between 11 and 12, probably almost better than any one of my brothers in the family at that time, because I wanted to eat. If you couldn't quote a scripture or say something, if my pops asked you, it was like Jeopardy in the house. If you couldn't answer that question right, it was almost hellfire damnation, man. You know, but it was his discipline that focused me to become the man that I am, the God that I accept within me, to know that. So I don't knock the history of what I grew up as, because it was a teaching and learning tool for me to grow into and to expand. So uh, my first exposure into the knowledge of self was through my cousin Al Jabbar, you know, and him and my brother Curtis, they were 5 percenters in long way back in the early '70s, the timeline and stuff like that. So that's how I first got exposed to the supreme mathematics, was through algebra.
Mhm,
Nobody really knew this, but that was my first understanding of the supreme mathematics. He would always come to say something to me about it, like, and I'm looking at him like, I'm a kid. I don't know what you talking about. How you gonna come to me talking about who's God? That God, black man. Man, you crazy. I would always say that. I was a kid,
mhm,
had no knowledge, man. But through the tragedies in my life, I've always had God bodies around to say, yo, God, you gonna be all right. Boom, boom, boom. And I keep like, so I have to give much love, respect, and flowers to my best man, my physical, my cousin, Justice Stewart, right around the corner from me. You know,
Yeah,
it
Big
was
Just.
with him. It was with him that I got back into the knowledge of self deeper, because him and I were going through a lot together at that same time. So we focused on the lessons. We focused on, our life experiences and everything. So every time, we still talk, like I say, man, he's going his way, I'm going mine. We still the best about it things, you know what I'm saying? So dealing with anxiety, man, I had a lot of trials and tribulations in my childhood, to even going into the military and experiencing a lot of things in the military that changed the course of myself. I'm on medication I gotta take for anxiety, mood swings, and stuff like that. So uh, I gotta take pills to go to sleep. I gotta take pills to wake up. You know what I'm saying? When I wake up, to maintain, because of certain things. If the slightest little things that used to bother me so much that I would go off on somebody totally innocent. You see, but that was because I did not I did not have the control over me that I thought I did at a time, with thinking I did, but truly I didn't, because I didn't give myself the time to look at me. I didn't step out of my own way to see what I was doing, and a lot of the hurtful dangers, harms, and dangers I was doing. Um, so that was the hard part. But the best part about it is, there are people in your life that are put into your life at a certain point in time, or that are ride or dies, or that are in there, like I said, for a time and season, just right then and there, just when you need them, when you don't even realize that you need them, they're there. You know, you lost your moms, I lost my father. So I've always had my moms to this day. Still got her, love her to death. If it wasn't for her, there'd be a lot of changes in me, that I wouldn't be how I am now, and that's word is born. Um, a lot of brothers in the nation, that I built with, still build with, and I don't admire, but I'm grateful for their knowledge and insight, and the wisdom that they shared with me, to allow me to see the changes and make the changes within myself, and still deal with it. You, for example, we talk, we laugh, we bug out all the time. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
And there's moments like we talk about, we're talking and we're building, but I may not express to you what was going on with me personally behind the scenes. But because we're building and we laughing about it, it's easing that pain or anxiety within me, making it easier to say, yo, God, thank you. You know what I'm saying? You be like, you
Right.
got the question mark over here. What's going on, Kat? And then we talk. Then we
Hmm.
talk, and it's like, yo, this is what's going on. So, to those who are listeners out there that are going through their own hell, fire, and damnation, there's always, like they say, there is a silver cloud. You know what I'm saying? There's a cloud, there's a light within the cloud that you get through, and you see the light, because the light is you. It's that you got to go through that cloud of deception. You got to walk through that fire, hell, and brimstone, and you got to come out shining bright like the sun that you are. And along your travels, there are people that's going to want to help you, and there's also people who want to stop you. You see what I'm saying? We got to
Hmm.
understand, you got to realize there's both sides to our story, but we are in the middle. So when they say there's three sides to every story, there's the truth, the lie, and well, there's your side, their side, and then the truth. It's in the middle. The truth
Hmm.
is you truly in the middle. What's on your left or right is how you turn, which side you decide to pull or allow to pull you towards a better way. If the truth is gonna pull you right, and you still walking straight with it, that's good. But if you
Hmm.
allow the lies and the deceit to blind your eyes from the truth, then you walk in a crooked path. You still gonna be unbalanced. But you need both to have an understanding. That's in today's mathematics. We look at knowledge and wisdom all being born to understanding. So this is we gonna make this understanding understood today about dealing with your life experiences, your anxieties, your depressions. You
Mhm.
know, uh, my depression just recently. I ain't gonna say celebrated, but my grandmother passed away on the 9th of September, 2016, and she passed away in my arms,
Mhm.
literally,
Mhm.
physically in my arms. I held her, and she
Mhm.
passed away. So this month, when I think about it, that was she was our jewel. You know, she was the grand matriarch of the family. And for her to live a life of 94 years, still, 94 years young, even though she wasn't in her right mind anymore, she had full blown dementia and Alzheimer's, and she, with cancer and everything. But her physical presence was more enlightening than anything else, because it was a physical presence that allowed us to remember her for all the greatness and goodness she was about. So, as sad as I become, I'm even greater because of the love that I know about her still exists, because it's in me. And it's never going to leave me, because she put that in us, in each and
Mhm.
every one of us. Because that woman that passed away was the same woman that when we were, because I was born in January. So during the time of a blizzard in New York, we went out to Far Rockaway where she lived at, because we lost power. Now, this is a story my mother and my grandma told me when I was young. So imagine me being the fifth born of older brothers before me. I'm, like I said, I'm the baby at this time. My sister wasn't even born. So my grandmother only had a 1 bedroom place at that time. So this is that same woman that pulled out that top drawer, and mostly a lot of people remember that top drawer if you came up in the old school. That was my crib, that was my bed, that was everything. You understand what I'm saying? For
Mhm.
her to put you and put
Mhm.
that baby in there and keep him warm, he all right. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? We didn't have not much of nothing, but we made a lot of something from what we had.
Right.
And
Right.
that's what I'm talking about. So, we reflect on those things, and like I said, to understand that story and look at that, they say, yo, it was a pleasure for me to take care of her for the last 3 years of her life
Right.
that I was able to. You understand what I'm saying? So her passing away is a sorrowful moment, but it's a joyful thing at the same time.
Mhm.
You know, it's just like the song with by Frank, Maze and Frankie Beverly,
Mhm.
Joy and Pain. Those
Mhm.
those those go those go
Mhm.
together. You can't have one without the other. But it's how you continue. It's how what we do to continue within our life to keep more joy than the pain, and maintain and be able to reflect that on our youths, to let them see that, yo, as much as I've been gone, what I've gone through, I'm still here. The
Mhm.
joy and love is still here. So I'm emanating that to you, so that
Mhm.
you can do the same thing within yourself, and then within your seeds to see. You see, because 25,000 years in the future, you're going to look back and say, yo, my uncle, my dad, my cousin, he was this, she was that. You understand what I'm
Mhm.
saying? And it's because of the lessons that I remember from them as I was growing up that gives me the power to maintain and move on, or to move in my direction that I'm going to go to and allow me to grow forth, man. So, it's all about when we return to ourselves quietly, because we do that a lot. I do that a lot. Sometimes that is a major coping mechanism for me to
Mhm.
draw within myself, because
Right.
if I can't draw within myself at that time, whoever is around me, I'm like a dragon now, and I'm ready to spit the fire out. So wherever
Mhm.
it hits, it hits. And I'm not gonna. I don't have no regrets, because at that time my mind is like, yo, you didn't allow me to fix myself. You coming around me when I'm trying to let you listen. Give me some time. I need some time and space. So
Mhm.
you got to make your time and space. You know, some people want to know what your situation is right then and there, and it's like, okay, I understand what you want to do because you see it, but you got to give me a minute to digress or regress into myself, to allow me to go into my cocoon and then come out
Yeah.
like the butterfly.
Definitely process what's
You
going
know,
on.
Exactly, exactly. So, again, to all our listeners, man, this, we're not just on here to talk about the nation of God's and us. We're here to talk about life and life's reality and the issues that we all deal with. And we deal
Mhm.
with everybody's issues, we deal with them on our own way,
Yeah.
But there are people out here that you can call to and rely on, even if you can't go to the closest people that you feel you love and trust the most. Because sometimes the closest people around you are the ones that want to hurt you themselves, but they not going to tell you that. But you just got to be aware. You got to see the
Right.
signs before the signs get to you,
Right.
and it's okay. It's okay because that's you can't change the people who they are. You can't
No.
change a person for who they are. That person has to change for themselves. So what we do is we accept them, but you don't have to deal with them in
Mhm.
their way. You deal with them in your way. You
Right.
understand? Like I always tell you, I may have some disgruntled sometimes with my family, this, that, or they may have some disgruntled from me, and my love is always going to be there no matter what. But I can always love you from afar.
Right.
I ain't got to be right there in the backyard, and I'm not going to. You know,
Nah.
um, you know, it's just hard. It's hard, but it's fair, and sometimes it seems unfair. But when you look back and when you really think about and ask yourself these questions, am I doing right by me first? It's
Hmm.
not about saying am I doing right by that other person because you can't do right by nobody till you do right by yourself first.
Right.
That's the
Right.
whole thing. You got to love yourself first, accept yourself first. You don't got to believe in yourself. You need to know yourself.
Right.
Know
Right.
your self worth. You can be worthy and worth enough for everybody else that comes into your circle.
And that's
You know,
that's what it is. A lot of times we don't realize that. You know that we have to take time out for us. A lot of times we expend our energy everywhere, and we don't leave anything for ourselves. And that's a major thing. You have to leave something for yourself. Um, when it comes down to real 360, you're sitting here and you're watching and you're listening to two universal scientists. You know, you're looking at together about 80 years of knowledge. About 80 years of knowledge. Um, we're able to have discussions universally. Like, this is one of our universal bills that we have with each other and we have with other people. We have always wanted to be in a situation where we can help the people, not just give them lessons, but guide them, show them a direction that not only you can go, we've been there, we've walked that walk. So when it comes down to depression, anxieties, and things of that nature, mental health, sometimes you have to take a mental health day and just sit back and reevaluate things. I've come to the point where it's, like I said, man, I love my inner circle. I love what we do here every Sunday. I love my brother because without our followers, our viewers, our list, this is very therapeutic for myself, for Kay, and a lot of people that watches. And also, too, I wanted to say thank you to the individuals that have been in my life, help guiding me, far as being the male role models, which is my uncle Eddie Young, Earl Campbell, Don Cromell, which was my football coach mentor, Jim Simpson, and they tried to help guide. Audrey Campbell was like my second mom. What I mean? That's my auntie. I love her to death. That's like my second mom. She helped me out a lot, and I appreciate her for that. Um, but the 5% Nation, I love my brothers and sisters because whether y'all know it or not, y'all helped me through a lot. My Earth Aquila, you know what I'm saying? She helped me through a lot. Um, I can't speak on. things I don't know. So, but I speak on the things that I've been through. These are the things that I've been through.
Mm-hmm.
And I think this show was important for people to see the transparency with just us. That we're more than what you're going to label us to be. This is not just another 5% of podcast. This is not just another Nation of Gods and Earth podcast. This is a universal radio show, podcast show, where we will be bringing on individuals who impact the change in other people. We're looking to be the solution to the social ills that are going on in the Black community. And addressing mental health is a major step in that direction. So, we're getting to the time where the show is almost over. And again, I'm at peace. I'm at peace today. Whereas I can tell my brother K Wise, I love you, man. And this show right here means so much for me. And it does so much for me that I'm able to reach the people and help them help themselves, help them get out of their way. And it helps me to get out of my own way. So when we had this conversation about doing it, we had this conversation about doing it at first. It was like, was thinking we were building other people platforms. We was building other people platforms.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, God, we can do this ourselves. And he was like, yeah, I was just thinking the same thing. Like, we could do this ourselves. And it was nothing to take away from the other platforms like the Charge Room, the Box, the different platforms that we were on. Big up to the Charge Room, you know what I mean? Because that's a major show as well. And the sister that runs the Charge Room, big up to you. But the real 360 is going to always be universal. So there's some week you're going to see 5%ers on here. There's some week you might see a minister on here. You might see a doctor on here. You're going to see universal people, sitting down talking with us. So on that note, K Wise, take us up out of here, my brother. And the last but not least, what I'm saying? I love you, man, forever.
Word is bond. Before listen, we gonna let this go. We gonna let this go. We gonna take it a little over our time because
okay.
What you said, I gotta enlighten it even more because, and I'm looking dead into the camera and I'm telling you, Black man, Black woman, Black child. If you can't tell somebody that you love them, you ain't even got to know them. But because we are universal family, I love you. I love you for your faults. I love you for your truth. I love you for who you are. For who you are. You got to in turn remember to love yourself and love us eternal because the only way we're going to make changes, we make changes together. The only way we can stand tall is to stand tall together as a nation. And make sure that we are heard and we are not playing around with this. So I have no problems telling any Black man in the United States of America and all over the planet Earth, I love you. You understand what I'm saying? I love you. God,
right.
From the bottom of my heart, I love you, G. And those are just true words. I'm not going to say nothing that I don't say that's truth. I'm speaking truth. This is word. This is our bond. So we want to make sure that we reach out to our audience, no matter what your denomination, what you believe in, what your system is. We love you, the individual, the humanistic man, woman, and child in you. We love. Understand that. And so don't always look and think, these 5% is only out for them. They only da-da-da-da. Nah, we out for everybody. This is the science, and we study this love of science and life and everything. So we're able to tell you this because this is what you need to know. Instead of unknowingly and thinking negative about it, ask somebody about it. Ask a 5%er about being a 5%er. Not only that, go to the schools of Allah. Go to the schools where you see. You know what I'm saying? Don't just uh hear. Don't just hear without following the truth. You know what I'm saying? Go to the sources to learn the real truth. You know what I'm saying? And it's nothing for somebody to stop me and say, "Yo, I just heard you on your podcast. You and the God Josh and Mel, man. How thorough is it?" Well, listen, I'm gonna put you in the right line as best as I can. But the truth is what you're gonna make manifest of it. I can give you the information, but it's up to you to follow through and see what how it feels and falls for you. But again, we love you. I love you, black man, woman, and child. I love everybody, and I just want to bring the best of the best to you through our show, through our platform. And this is being brought to y'all by way of Liveation Radio Network. I just want to give a big shout out to that and everything. And again, you know, my brother Josh Mel, man, I love your wisdom. Keep moving and keep growing and elevating, God. You're doing magnificent job, what you do and what you do. And we look forward to more and more hosts. To the people, our viewers, we're hoping to get one of few of the greatest still amongst us, living proof, true 5% is here. Uh, the mighty man himself, Allah B. Whenever we get the chance, we're gonna get him on the show so he can give you a more in-depth look and understanding about the nation of gods and earths as it was then and as it is now. And for so you don't want to miss that show. You don't want to miss that show. We will keep you alive and informed of all upcoming uh, guests. You know, if you want to be a guest yourself on our show, you know, you just don't have to be a listener. You can participate, sit in the panel, throw out your wisdom, give us insight. If you know somebody that has some news within the medical fields, sanitation work, anything y'all want to discuss to where, understand me clearly, anything you'll want to discuss to where you have a question, but you also have a positive solution. A positive solution. Don't come on here looking for negativity because you ain't gonna get negativity in that fashion. You're gonna get negativity with a positive reaction.
Right.
Let's make knowledge understood there. So because this is the 3 to 3, this is the 360 show. So what comes around goes around, baby.
Yes,
Understand that. That's the
sir.
reason. You know, and one of the things, you know, we said we got to do it, man. We got to let the people know why we brought to Real the Real 360 into existence for those to understand. And again, before I let you go to there, I gotta give a big shout out to the world famous Supreme Team because if it wasn't for these gentlemen right there, this would not be here.
Right.
So they set the platform. They set the platform for a lot of podcasts that deals with the nation of gods and nurse. But you understand, they did it on a whole different format. It wasn't just about the gods and nurse. They was universal. So that's what sets us up in the same timeline like that. So I'm very happy to be a part of that living generation to carry forth the torch and move on. And with that, Josh Mel, go ahead and enlighten the people on why we truly established the Real 360 show.
We established the Real to Real 360 show because we wanted to be the voice of the people. We wanted to change what we saw on a day to day basis. Everybody wants to be the voice of the streets. Everybody wants to be the voice of the streets. But me and Kay sat down and we understand that if you become the voice of the people, you speak to the people, then the streets will change because the people will change. You have to respect the man, woman, and child and speak to them on the level where they are to raise them to the level where they should be. So, Real to Real 360 will always be the show for the voice of the people. And that's always been our moniker. We're the voice of the people so the people can change their environment, whether they're in the streets, whether they're in drugs, whether they're on alcohol, whether they're going to any form of abuse or anything. We want to be the show that you can tune into and be like, yo, I got the positive word. And that changed my whole outlook. They gave me a jewel that I can live with. So, real to real, meaning realistically, we're building with knowledge, wisdom, and understanding, and culture and refinement. And we're not savages in pursuit of happiness because we're already dealing with love, peace, and happiness. And these are the things that we give in our show. So, to any individual, like Kay said, that wants to be a participant of our show, you don't have to necessarily be in entertainment or whatever the case may be, in all walks of life. Just come and sit down and let's have a dialogue. Let's sit down and chop it up. Let's sit down and build. How can we change the outlook in the community? Like in the future, we have Self Born who's dealing with the E firm. E firm are individuals who have came home from being incarcerated, who are now productive individuals in their community. They're becoming a voice of change. They're going back and they're getting these babies and they're sitting down with these babies so they don't walk the path that they walk. They don't get in situations where they become incarcerated. Help them make better choices. So in the future, we will have them and we will have individuals from the nursing field. Queen Nadia, I'm sure, be on. Queen Divinity be on. Um, we're striving to get Dottie X on. Like you said, the Law B, Born King. We're going to be a positive show, and we will always keep the people first. All right. So,
Absolutely.
okay. You know,
Absolutely.
also too,
And
make sure
COVID
Monday through Friday, you listening on your way home. You know what I'm saying? To the mighty KYs. You heard it. That's the black Superman right there. And he is making your ride home, that decompression moment from that long, hard day, making it an easy, joyful ride until you walk through that door. You know what I mean? So Monday through Friday from 6 to 8, tune in to that black superhero right there. My partner in crime, my co-host. You know what I'm saying? My brother in God, the mighty KYs.
Peace, God, peace. Yo, don't forget COVID-19. Your days are marked. I got something for you. Yo,
No
listen, man.
question.
All I'm
We
gonna
coming
say
at
is peaceful setting, peaceful blessings. We love each and every one of y'all. We like to thank you for every subscriber that has subscribed to our platform. Thank you. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for your positive comments. Thank you for keep tuning in with us. And please, we ask you to share this with your friends and their friends and families, so forth, and ask everybody to join in. You know what I'm saying? If you have anything you want to announce, whatever it is, in the community, for the community, get in touch with us. You can hit me up at 336 807 9299 or hit me up at kwizallah07 at gmail.com. That's KWISEALLAH 07 at gmail.com. You can leave your comments for anything you want put up on there, and guarantee we'll give the shout outs to anybody that you want on the show. But by all means, call us, subscribe, hit that like button. We're going to take this to a next level. We're going to take this even beyond YouTube, beyond Facebook. We're going above and beyond, baby. You hear me? 360 is going. We're making it happen. So tune in for our updates on that, because we're going to tell you what's going to be coming up, what we plan on doing to take it to another station of media source to get out there even further. And the only way we can do it is with your help, your love, and support at the same time too. So don't be afraid. Use us as the platform to be your speaker, your mouthpiece, whatever you want to get out. But by all means, come aboard. Come aboard. Take this ride and this journey with us, because it's going to be a pleasure and it's going to be knowledgeable. Always. Always you will learn something right here. Guaranteed. And with that, This is K Wise on behalf of my co-host Josh Shamel Allah on the Real 360 show. We are gone.
Peace.
Yeah.